It's patch week, so today's video is all about 10 new OP champions picks and builds for patch 12.6. Some of these picks are brand spanking new with the patch, and some have been building momentum over the last few weeks. So let's dive straight into it, and of course the first champion to talk about is RENGAR. His rework feels incredible, and he is absolutely everywhere at the moment. They made quite little quality of life changes that make him feel so much smoother and far less punishing to play. And of course the crit now on his Q deals a stupid amount of damage. So far this patch I've seen the traditional full assassin build, I've seen Gore Drink and Death Stance, I've seen various bruiser setups, and it's all kinda working. You can easily one-shot people with just one Q now, rather than having to get 2 or 3. First Strike, Electrocute, Conqueror, Lethal Tempo, there are so many different playstyles and different setups people are experimenting with, and it all seems very strong. The traditional crit build does seem the best though, as the amount of damage this does now is just ridiculous. Rengar's new rework definitely helped out all of those casual Rengar players too, as he does feel easier to play, starting right from that jungle clear. Previously you really had to know your stuff to full clear quick enough to compete with those other farming junglers, but now it's a bit more straightforward and definitely less punishing. Rengar's ability to completely stomp the entire team when he's ahead is now better than ever, and he feels so strong that it doesn't even matter how good you are on him. Rengar is stomping games at all ranks right now, so even if you don't play him, you should probably ban him. If you somehow manage to go against a Rengar and Ivern on the same team, this combo is absolutely nuts. Miss Fortune has been winning a hell of a lot of games over the last few weeks. Muramana on this champion feels seriously overpowered, as you really don't need to do much else other than just press E and R. The damage you can deal with your ultimate running this lethality Muramana setup is like nothing you've ever seen before, and you can one-shot entire teams in a matter of seconds. Miss Fortune's success and viability has always been so tied to this ultimate, and with this setup it's as strong as it's ever been before, if not more. If Miss Fortune backs herself a support with some hard CC, this champion feels pretty impossible to play against. Every single time that ultimate is off cooldown, her enemies stand no chance whatsoever. There's really not too much more I need to say about this champion and this build. Build Muramana, build whichever lethality items you like, and have fun winning a huge number of games, and pretty easily too. Zac support has been slowly creeping up in success recently, and those that can play it are having a great time to say the least. Zac support basically offers everything that he does in the jungle. Loads of CC, engage, initiation, and even some good damage too. Zac's kill threat in lane with his basic abilities is mental, and that only improves further when he gets his ultimate. Zac can easily abuse flashless enemies, so in the bot lane that's absolutely perfect. Use your E on cooldown, be a real nuisance, and pick up plenty of free kills in the process. Zac is also amazing at diving too with his passive, so when you get an advantage you can easily push it and just abuse them and keep diving them whenever your passive is up. To make this even stronger though, Zac's actually exceptional at peeling. His Q can knock those heads together, his E knockup and his ultimate are all amazing at defending your AD carry, which is really a win-win scenario. You'll also really notice just how effective this is when receiving lots of attention in the bot lane. Jax has been buffed, and this can only mean one thing. Jaxes everywhere. Yes, this guy has been shown some love, and now there's rarely a game you'll play without him in it. Jax is one of the OG snowbally bruisery scaling top laners, and he's still just as strong as he was 10 seasons ago. Once a year, Riot decide to buff this champion, and when they do, it always seems to make him completely busted. Jax's Blade Rush Triforce setup is working wonders so far this patch, and you'll spike so hard as soon as your Blade of the Ruin King is completed. Jax has always been a really good answer to those tough meta top lane picks like Aurelia and Camille, but when he's as strong as he is right now, it just makes this choice even better. Jax is just one of those champions that you never want to see get a few kills early on, as if he knows what he's doing he can run away with the game so quickly, and before you know it, he's 4 levels up and one-shotting 3 people at once. Whether it's split pushing, cleaning up fights, or just team fighting on his own, this champion is just nuts. So if you have a lot of experience on this champion, he could be a really good pick to go for. Shyvana has had a real resurgence in the jungle recently, and it's mainly due to people realising just how broken Demonic Embrace is on her. She has a variety of mythic choices, but Frostfire or Chem Tank definitely seem to be the best options. They give you those resistances and health that you need to make it through the early game, and then after that you get Demonic Embrace as quickly as you can. This makes you deal a stupid amount of damage, and get tankier at the same time. After that you can basically just run any AP, tanky AP or just bulky items and become unkillable, whilst half-healthing everybody with your E. Shyvana in the jungle has always felt like a bit of a niche and cheesy pick for a while, but I for one have always hated playing against it. She farms both of the jungles so quickly, she consumes dragons in what feels like seconds, and then she pops out of the jungle with her ult and one-shots you with one ability. If you enjoy playing Shyvana jungle, now is the best time to play it. Xayah is back in the bot lane with a vengeance, and holy moly is this champion popping off this patch. In recent weeks since her appearance in the pro scene, she's come straight back into the meta, and she's winning so many games. With AZIR, you have two main build options: the lethality airy poke Q max burst build or the traditional lethal tempo E max carry build. Either way, this champion is a fantastic pick right now, and pretty much blind pickable into anything. Her ultimate is just an incredible ability for an AD carry as a defensive tool, and the fact that it can deal some ridiculous damage, especially when combined with your E, makes it a truly game-changing ability. The lethality build feels really hard to lane against if AZIR knows what she's doing. You basically just send out your Q every few seconds and constantly poke your enemy into chaos. A quick QE in the mid game with Summon Airy proc can send squishies down to 20% with a few items, and the burst you deal with it doesn't really feel like it actually falls off at any point. The lethal tempo crit AZIR build is better in games where you really want to scale and take on those extended fights though. We definitely recommend going down this route if you've got a Rakan on your team too, as with that W start cheese strap, it's just too good to pass up on. Overall, AZIR is a great, safe, blind pickable champion right now, and actually very capable of carrying a hell of a lot of games too, so if you play AD carry, pick her up for sure. AZIR got a buff this patch, and this means you're probably seeing a lot of first time poke pigeons in your games. AZIR takes a lot of practice, and his scaling is definitely the best part of his game, which means you're going to need to be super efficient on this champion to make it to that point where you become a god. People have been having more success on AZIR in that top lane though. His mobility and his E means you're less risk in that top lane than some other mages. The top lane is fairly often left alone to its own devices, meaning you can farm to your heart's content. If topside is the focus though, AZIR can be really good at negating attention and outplaying dives with his mobility, his shield, and of course his ultimate. The reason why I think AZIR top is also better than mid right now is because you're not going to be constantly asked to roam and skirmish whilst you're at a weaker stage of the game. If your jungler is playing reckless and your support is roaming all over the place, you're probably going to have to join them rather than power farm, and this can easily turn ugly as AZIR is just not strong enough in the early game. In the top lane though, farm up, scale up, and Shurima shuffle your way to victory in the late game. NIDALEE also got buffed this patch, and it does feel like it's been a while since we've really seen this champion play consistently. NIDALEE for the last few years has really had that status of, if you're not a god, don't play her. And to a certain extent, these buffs is not going to change that. NIDALEE as a champion has always been a pick that if you know how to maximise jungle efficiency, you know how to punish the enemy jungler's movements perfectly, and you know how to snowball and abuse a lead, she's probably one of the best champs in the game. However, if you don't know exactly all of these things, she's just a couple of spears away from being useless. NIDALEE simply has to snowball hard in games, or she becomes a pokey heal bot and doesn't really do anything else. These buffs are definitely going to make NIDALEE a little bit less punishing though, and a fraction easier to play. What these buffs will definitely do though is make those insane NIDALEE masters even stronger, so if you're a high elo player, watch out for them. NIDALEE definitely takes some practice, but if you enjoy her and understand how to abuse her, she's in a very good spot in 12.6. SAMIRA has been permanently banned in Korean solo queue recently, and there's plenty of reasons why. SAMIRA is probably one of the most snowbally AD carries there is right now, and if she manages to get into the game against enemies without much CC, she's probably going to 1v9. SAMIRA is the ultimate melee abusing monster for a marksman, and she can dive teams and come out full health with 5 kills. SAMIRA's W is probably one of the best basic abilities in the game for any AD carry. Not only does it save your life and block a ton of damage, but it also contributes heavily to your damage output as well. SAMIRA's ultimate and her E resets make her really fun to play in teamfights, and she can easily run away with games this patch, if the player knows exactly what they're doing. I've personally been having a ton of fun on SAMIRA in the last few weeks, as I've recently rolled swapped down to AD carry from the jungle. If you have any friends that play Renata Glask, this combo feels unbeatable. Both of these ultimates together in a combo is one thing, but the Renata W is what makes it so absurd. As SAMIRA, you can literally dive 5 enemies with very little risk, and come out on the other side grinning from ear to ear as you wipe the floor with the enemy team. Other little things like Renata's passive increasing SAMIRA's trading in lane, Renata's Q setting up SAMIRA's extended CC passive, and then all the buffs and shields, and it's just an amazing lane altogether. Definitely give this a go if you play a lot of duo queue. Finally, the last OP champion we're going to speak about today is PYKE in the mid lane. PYKE mid has really started to increase in popularity again, and it does feel like a large part of this is due to how good the Death Dance and Duskblade combo is on him. If you get a reset with your ult, you go into stealth and heal a ton of damage off so you can fight another day. If you get multiple ult resets, this just gets better and better. PYKE mid is all about roaming and really abusing his aggressive playstyle. You can scoot around the map, lock people down and one-shot them easily with your ultimate. Playing PYKE mid feels like you're a second jungler or even a second roaming support, and if your own jungler and support are feeling aggressive too, it can be pretty terrifying to play against. PYKE's all-in potential in lane and his early kill threat are pretty huge as well. Hail of Blades with a QE combo and Ignite is more than enough to beat most enemies in that early level 2 trade, and an early kill in lane means you can snowball that lead really quickly. PYKE mid has always been a really threatening pick in the right hands, with all those crazy PYKE 1 tricks running about, but this patch it feels really strong even with the majority of the player base. So if you're feeling it, give it a go. That's going to conclude our list of the top 10 OP champions picks and builds that you should be playing in patch 12.6. Let us know in the comments who you've been having a lot of success and fun with. I've been your host Vale at Mobalytics, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.